It's a great day at SedgeTool today. We are installing our new LEDs from, you know it, American Green Lights. I'm really excited about this because of the process of getting these lights, okay? It was effortless, and hear me out on this because I want you to understand. We are going to be installing 15 48-inch dual LED lights in here. 15 of them, 15 fixtures. And hopefully by the end of this video you'll say, wow, that was wicked easy. It is. What I want to talk about today in the beginning here is, once again, how this all transpired. It was so cool because at American Green Lights there's a gentleman there named Jim. I got on the phone with him after I had reached out to him and said, hey, I'd like to check out your product. I had seen him in Jason Bent's. Well, actually my wife saw him in Jason's shop and she says, you need those. I have fluorescents in here right now. I have 4 dual 8-foot fluorescent daylights, okay? On the phone, I had researched American Green Lights website, and by the way, you have to go there. It's an awesome website. Okay, I saw videos of people installing that have existing LEDs, and one of the things that was striking was the one I knew about Kelvin. I knew I wanted 5,000 Kelvin in here. I know that's a great rendering index, and when I say that, Jim really spoke about color rendering index. You'll see it all over the website, CRI. Now, what's important about that is I got off the phone and I was cussing because I came out here and I realized fluorescents make everything yellowy. You don't realize that working in there, but you're gonna see the difference. You're gonna see the results. I know through work that 5,000 Kelvin is the sweet spot. When you go lower, like 3,000 and lower, you get more yellowy, okay, or orangey. When you go higher than 5,000 Kelvin, you're going to get bluish tint with your LEDs. Okay, so these are 5,000s. And what's nice about it is Jim said, send me a schematic. Just do something quick. So what I did is, you'll see this, we'll pull it up. This is a schematic that Chris, our camera dude, did for me, and I sent it to him with the dimensions and where I wanted the most lighting. And what's important about that is Jim on the phone talked about candle lights. What's the optimum candle lights to get on your work surfaces? Oh my God, what he sent back was unbelievable. He sent back gridded schematics. This is the one I use the most. You'll see that in this video. But what I also did is, there's some color candle lights. You'll see all the different candle lights, where they're gonna be stationed for optimum layout of the fixtures. Okay, and also different views of that, you know, where it's gonna hit the bandsaw, where it's gonna hit the table saw, okay, different angles. And I was like blown away on this. I was like, sign me up, take my credit card, Jim, let's get these here so we can do it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to unbox it. I want to show you what comes in it. I have possibly a few tips and tricks, and by the way, there's some killer videos out there, okay, on installation of these. What I like to do, I think you know this in our videos here at SedgeTool, is I like to step you through piece by piece and not edit too much out, so you can see some of the hiccups I may have encountered, and we'll go from there. So let's unbox. We have 15 of these. I'm gonna open them all up and stage them around the shop so that I don't have to move them 100 different times. But what comes in it is the ballast. That's easy. Inside here, you got the instruction manual. But underneath the instruction manual, you have the bag of hardware you need it. So I'm gonna set that over there. I'll talk about that in a minute. You also have the light fixture here, and I'll open it up so you can see it's a dual strip of LEDs. I guess the hardest or the time-consuming part is putting up the ballast. Then it's a plug and play. It's all quick connects. They really thought this system out. Okay, so I guess this might be a tip. The way we're gonna wire this is we're going to piggyback them all off of one switch. All right, I think that's the right terminology. I don't know. I'm using 14-2 wire. But down on the floor here, as we unpackage these, I'm gonna do a little prep. I like to, when I do a knockout, and I'm gonna be, there's 2 knockouts on this. One, if I'm going up through the attic, which I'm not, I'm gonna go on the ceiling with the wire, okay? Because part of my attic is covered up by my master closet off of my bedroom. So it's hard to access. So I'm just gonna run the wires and tack them to the ceiling. So I need to remove this knockout here. And what a knockout is, it's just a pre-cut piece. You knock it out and you twist it off. Now what I like to do is I like to put a grommet in here, just like this. That way there, it doesn't degrade the wire. And I think these are labeled 1/2 inch. So when I have these installed, I will be able to just thread the wire in there, the 14-2. Okay, so one of the things I want to point out, and I think this just may be the hardest part of all this installation, is doing the layout. And it really is pretty effortless because Jim sent me the schematic. So what I did is I measured out the room again, and when I'm up on the ladder, you'll see where I found a center line. And when we look at the schematic, yes, I got a bunch of drawings on here, and yes, I was counting the grid line out, and you know, this is a 3 foot right here, this is 15. But what I did is I got an exact center line on the ceiling. You'll see that in a few minutes. So in doing all of this, I was up on the ceiling with the ballast. My first time doing this, just trying to figure it out. And I realized something. You know what makes it a little bit easier? Is if I make a story stick. So I measured the ballast. And I made a series of story sticks, and you'll understand this as we're laying out the ceiling. Okay, look, there's my ballast, and I created a center line. Yes, I use metric. The ballast is 1,180. I wrote this for everybody in Imperial. It's 46.5. So my 590 was my center line. That's my ballast. Look, I don't have to take that ballast when I'm doing a layout. So there was my first story stick. And you know, I did one 23.25. It was for laying out my ballast. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it because I'm always measuring off of center line. And I just take it from one end and I go like this. Is this overkill? It could be, but you know what? It was good for my brain, so I could have this. So when I'm up on that ceiling doing an install, I can just put that right on my laid out center line. Yes, I will go from 30.5 or 775 in between ballasts, but this is just a secondary layout. Does it have to be perfect? I have 10.5 foot ceilings in here, actually 10.7 and 3/8. It doesn't matter, you're not gonna really see them, but it's for my brain, I like to be as accurate as possible. But this one, you'll see why this one's important. I have a 3 foot mark and a 3.5. Okay, so when I'm up on the ceiling doing a layout, you'll notice from either side, according to my schematic and as I did it, from either side of the east wall and the west wall, okay, it's 3.5 feet in. But from the north, it starts, okay, center line. Now always remember, you gotta remember what the center line is on the schematic. Okay, so center line from the south wall and the north wall is 3 foot. That's where the center line is of the ballast. So there's my layout. Now, in doing all the math from the schematic and also utilizing my room, guess what? I calculated that between the end of the ballast to the next ballast is 30.5 inches. And I did that in Imperial for you. So that's roughly about 780 in metric. Let's just do a quick measurement so we can have that in metric for you. Okay. And you want to know something? I should never second guess myself. It is about 780, it's 775, okay? In millimeters. So there you go, and it's time to go do our layout. So one of the things I want you to notice, and Chris and I were just talking about this, he's standing in the northeast corner of the shop, okay? The lighting is horrific, okay? But you know what? A couple months ago I thought, hey, it was okay. You're gonna see this whole shop evolve over time. We're gonna get rid of some of these garage door openers and do some side lifts. You'll see a video on that. Okay, so hopefully you remember I mentioned something, and I don't want to get too wordy on this, but boy, there's some really great videos out there. And when I'm doing something, anything inside the house, I always go to YouTube to see different not only just different opinions, but different work processes. And sometimes I see people doing stuff and I go, man, that's what I would have done. And I just want to point it out that some of these are not my ideas. The story stick I hadn't seen anybody do. I see everybody measuring with a tape, and to me, up on a ceiling measuring is kind of like a drag. But this is one, and I want to talk about the hardware package. I'm going to open one up. And what I saw one video was somebody separating everything. That to me is really smart. Now, it comes with 3 wire nuts, but you see these little screws? This is what attaches the LEDs to the ballast. These are the ones, to me, that are most important, okay? These are the anchors and the screws, okay? I have always had trouble with these anchors, okay? I've never had great success. So I went out and I got these anchors. They're really easy. It's got a center point. They just screw up. And I use a number 7. This is a number 7 1.25" square drive with the washer head on it. It just seems a little bit better than the screws provided. It's a pocket hole screw. You get them in any home center. So that's the hardware I'm going to use. And I'm just going to take my time now and separate everything so I don't have to keep cutting these bags open. Okay, so one of the things I suggest to lay out your room is I always start with a center line, okay? You gotta remember that. It's not the end of the ballast, it's the center of your ballast, okay? And that's the schematic you get. So one of the things that I think is well worth it, I don't like running tape measures because, you know, whatever, they're just bulky and they're always breaking. You need 2 people, one to hold it against the wall. This is worth its weight in gold. I've had one for years and years. As soon as I found an accurate one, I got it there. Yeah, this is a Stabila. I think the model number is 400. But I found a center line. Now that's my north wall. This is my south wall. So I'm just gonna check. There's a tracking feature on here. Where you can go back and forth and then go over here back and forth and then get your center line, but I just did this. I scribed it. There's my mark there, 15 and 9 inches. And then I went over here, 15 and 9 inches. And what I did is I always set my laser measure to the back and I scribed a line. Then what I did over here is I went to the east wall, grabbed my center line there. What I'm doing is creating what is known as a benchmark. Okay, so I can go like that. Now over here I have a bump out, a chase for some wires. So I grabbed my mark here on the, I always forget which wall, that's the west wall. And then I know that's 10 and 11 inches. And then back over here, 10 and 11 inches. Dead on perfect against the east wall. And I just extrapolated it out here, and that's my exact center of the shop. Okay, now the other thing I did over here by the schematic is I measured from that wall, okay, and you'll see the green tape over here, and then I measured 3.5 feet away from there. That's my benchmark, okay, and then I measured over on the far east wall another 3.5 feet. Hopefully you're following this, because now the only thing I needed to do was I have a layout laser. So now I have my 2 lines this way, okay, that I can put my laser on as my benchmark, and then I have a line this way that I can do a line out, and that's how I extrapolated those lines to do the layout. Okay, and you'll see now the spacing's easy with the story stick I made, but I think For me, that's been probably the toughest part of the experience, and it's just laying it out once. So I always tell people, take your time laying things out, whether it's building a piece of furniture or a cabinet, because the rest is really easy. So there you go. Here's what I want to point out. I got my benchmark, and you'll see my laser. It's strapped across, okay? It's laid out across. I can't stress that enough, okay? I have a center line here. I'm not always going to work off the center line. I just like to mark my ballast with that, okay? You're going to notice here, this is where I'm going to anchor it to the ceiling here and also here. Okay, now here's the wires. We're going to have a wire come in here, and this will feed out and we'll piggyback to the next one. Now, the way we're going to work the room is our starting point is all the way down here, the wiring. It's going to go this way, come across, go back this way. So I want these here, okay? Where on the other ones here, they will be opposite direction. It's just a little minor thing. It makes wiring a little bit easy. So when I look up on the ceiling, and we probably won't be able to catch this, you just have to believe me, you'll see that the laser shines right there, and I'm going to mark those 2 points. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to bring it right up and put it on center line, and there we go. There's my first mark right there off of center line. I'm going to mark the center here, and I'm just going to mark that secondary hole just like that. So there you go. The reason I like these anchors is I can just take that, it's a Phillips drive, I put it in like that, and there's my mark right there on my line. I just pump it up like that, and I just take this one, I reach over, see that? Boy, I guess I did put that right on. Okay, and it's pretty simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch this out. I'm going to put that number 7 screw right in here, but I'm not going to put it all the way. Okay, just like that, because I can slip it on, shift it like a 1/2 inch, and be done with it, and just go from there. It's that easy. Okay, so that head will slip right in through these holes, and we'll just shift it ever so slightly, remembering that that goes right there. I'll just take it like this, just take it like this, shift it over, don't let it fall. And just, that's why it's really nice to have a little bit of a light, and that just locks it in really nice. This comes over, and there you go, it's tight to the ceiling. It doesn't have to hold a lot of weight. I bought the anchors that say 50 pounds of weight. I don't know how much these weigh. They gotta be like 2 pounds, if that, with a light fixture. So what I'm doing is, if we can see this, that's the end of my center ballast. This is my 30.5 in between. So I'm just gonna take this, I'll put it to this end, and I'll mark the ceiling right here. Okay, and that way there I have equidistant spacing between ballasts. Okay, so I marked from here with 30.25 inches. I believe 30.5 with my ballast to ballast, or end to end. Then I'm gonna grab this stick, which is the exact replication with the center line for my ballast. I'm going to bring it in here. You'll see it with my laser line, and I just get my scribe center line here, and I'm good to go. Plenty for that. It's pretty simple. It's green is my ground, black is my hot, white's my neutral, and I use 14-2 Romex. This little stripper here is pretty damn cool, so I can strip the Romex. Pretty easy, just got to get it going. And I don't want too much, so that's why I pull it over there. I'm gonna cut it before I strip it. And I know how to talk about this when oh, come on. There it is right there. I'll bring it down to about right here. I'll strip this Romex end right here with this little tool I have. You just got to get it in the groove, bring it up. That way there you don't harm any of the inner cords. And basically what I'm doing is I'm twisting 3 lines together. That's all. Cutting the extra Romex sheathing. I'll be cleaning it up for years. This pouch I have is unbelievable because I can have everything right here, and it's just setting up the pouch to make sure you have the right tools. Okay, so just really simple. Green to green. I'm going to do I just pull them apart like this. My Romex I put together first. That way there, because it's a heavier gauge. I'm going to twist that. Always make sure the power's off. And then I'm going to take my ground, just making sure they're all good. Bring that little ground in there. When I'm using wire nuts, I twist the heck out of them and I pull to make sure that's not going to pull out. Because I'm going to be taking this and tucking it up in there. And you see there's a bar here. That's where that light canopy or LEDs attach. That Romex has to be up in, not across, or the canopy won't go. So just little things I learned on that. You get 2 other lines here. Those are for your dimmers. We don't need those. Okay, and then I'm going to do black to black. Now, the other thing to remember, it says in the instructions, there is a flange that hangs down right here. So when you see when I put the LED light fixture up to here, I'm going to mount it with these 2 screws here, these 2 screws here, making sure everything's tucked in. I got my quick connect here. I'm just going to shift out because the quick connect on the LEDs, okay, are going to go up around, and I'm going to shove this in here like this so it helps take a little bit of weight. It's not heavy, but takes a little bit of weight off of it. The quick connects are really easy. It's a no-brainer. There's your contact, so you know that slips on, and this will go and lock in up in the ballast. And I'm just gonna lock this. They're keyed, in other words, so they're pretty easy. You really can't mess this up like I was just doing there. And there you go. So make sure they snap in and they're locked. Okay, so here's something I've learned doing this. Look at the size of these screws. They're really tiny. I tried to source extras because I'm notorious for losing these. They got a slight taper to them. And when you're up there, you got 2 holes here and 2 holes here. You got a little room for movement. But man, these are 10.5 foot ceilings. So I've always had these, and I'm used to number 2 Phillips. But what's nice is I magnetized it with this little piece here, so that kind of holds in there while I'm screwing these. So what I'll do is I'll get a screw in there to start, but look over here, I gotta tuck those in. Oh my God, look at this. Hey! How did they get in here? You can see everything. Caught ya. Okay, so in summary, you're gonna see befores and afters. All right, I don't want to go on and on about how great these lights are. You're going to see how great they are. I could talk about color rendering index all day long, but when you see the before and afters, I want you to notice the reds, the yellows. Oh my God, the greens are popping. Okay, in here, hopefully you get this on the camera. It's like daylight in here now. Okay, I got a couple of notes because the thing I want to talk about right now that I didn't realize, because I had those fluorescents in here. I thought I had good lighting. I've always preached about good lighting in woodworking. I had no idea. I can read my tapes better. I can read all my scales better. In other words, I'll say it 100 times, the clarity of everything in this shop. I think you can tell right here as we pan over, Chris. Remember we shot some stuff in here? Yes, I really upped the game in here, going from 4 8-foot fluorescents, okay, with 8 bulbs, but in the corners, everything is popping. I have no shadows. We have 15 of these now, and we're really excited. You're gonna see the quality of the videos go up. And that's the first upgrade in the shop. Garage doors will be coming. Okay, so what else do I have here? Oh, here's a couple of hiccups. I promise you, I tell you. Here's a hiccup I ran into. Hopefully this video is thorough enough. One of the things that came about was I get a lot of stuff in this 3-saw garage, okay? And what's funny is I spent almost all my time moving everything. If you have the ability, and I know it's winter time here in Indiana, but if you have the ability to move stuff out, okay, do it, because it just seemed like I was moving things constantly to get up on that ceiling. But I'll tell you what, everything else was easy. Good. Okay, so hopefully we've looked at the before and afters. Oh, one more point I want to make sure you understood this. If you're not comfortable with electrical, okay, I'm okay with it. I just said to heck with it and did it myself. But if you're not comfortable, hire an electrician to do this, okay, to do all your wiring. It's pretty simple. So, I want to thank everybody at American Greenlights. Boy, hopefully this video really helped you in making a decision to get some of these, because everybody who's walked in here so far has freaked out. It's like being outside. So thank you very much for everything. And how do we always end these? Be positive and stay sharp. Thanks, everybody.